So why would the military training of men in the wilderness of North America be called a fruit? Again, that's another question that is really irrelevant to me. It's a question that comes out of that. Why would they be named that? But it's irrelevant to me because I'm not in the Nation of Islam. So I don't care what they call themselves. That's the immediate thought I have with that. You know what I mean? But then why would they call that? Well, they were really like a religious institution. A lot of it is because we left with it, though, that we established that it was science only. We're the ones that said we're going to share this without any religious aspects to it, without any notes of religion, without any worshiping of any kind, without any kind of, reverence. Deliberate and overt ritual to reverence. That would be religion. You see what I'm saying? Deliberate and overt. You absolutely doing it, and you definitely doing rituals to show your reverence and affections and worship to someone. We didn't do any of that. We took away all that, though. So now what's left, though, is if there is actually science and whatever they're saying is their religious doctrine, then it'll get drawn out. Everything else will get ruined. So then there is something still supposedly left in that degree, I guess, right? What's the meaning of FOI? True to Islam. Well, it means this, right? If our perspective, sometimes, I had this plus lesson I give out, an understanding. I was doing the yearly themes, and I said the understanding was a yearly theme. Our perspective, meaning that when all of us have an understanding, we bring into all other knowledge that we encounter. Some people call it bias, but what if it's a fact that you bring into everything, right? That's a perspective. So, for example, right? You know how to count, right? So when you go to the store, you bring that understanding to going to buy food. It changes if you're there with somebody that doesn't know how to count. And they got different problems, different issues. They might not be able to get the extra deal. They might not add things right, so they're gonna assume they don't have enough money because they can only round off and stuff. You know what I mean? They're not particular. You exact, so you get an extra item or two. Add up the sales figures in your head and know you have even an extra third item. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that with everything, when you have knowledge of things and when you know that what you think you know is correct, then you can go into a situation having knowledge, right? And it'll affect your perspective. In other words, it affects your understanding no matter what. The knowledge you have already, that is actual knowledge, affects what you encounter. And what I'm saying is that there's an understanding that we have that affects the way we look at everything. For us, though, it was what? The babies are the best part. There's something that we learned, though. I was telling my earth, though, that a difference between, because we encountered some of these, the last couple of weeks, we was around events and peoples that was dealing with pro-black aspects. You know what I mean? And it was nice, because these are original people that don't normally are taught not to consider themselves black at all, right? So it's peace, right? But they was all women, and I was looking at something that was missing, and it was the understanding that, let's say, our nation has as Earths. Like, the Earths have the perspective of the babies first. Whether they have children or not, their perspective is always children first. Like, what's it mean to the children? What would it be relevant to them? And I was just, maybe I was being bougie, you know what I mean? But I was not seeing that, so I was seeing a whole bunch of original women coming into an awareness of who they are, but also, just complaining a lot of mommy issues and daddy issues, you know what I mean? Because when you, in a lot of political, righteous, revolutionary circles, when you get round down to it, though, a lot of their issues, once you eliminate the actual political issue that they're talking about, it just sounds like a lot of mommy-daddy issues, though. They just see that the outer world reflects their childhood, reflects their growing up. So now when we look at understanding, we have to say, look, what understanding, what knowledge do we bring into perspectives? New ideas, new knowledge, new experiences that we're not going to let go. That's developing of a man's principles. That's developing what we call a woman's righteous nature. So when they go into a situation, we say the babies are the greatest. So look at that degree. What's the meaning of why? We're thinking like, yo, we gotta break shit up. We gotta destroy the white man. You know, take him down. Get diesel, get weaponry, all that. But when I look at the degree, I'm thinking like, yo, we gotta get right so that way we can protect the children. That's what Fruit of Islam is for. Because the fruit of Islam, the fruit is not the men. The fruit is the military training of men. The reason that they're learning the military training. And I get that, and I get lucky because the 120 is filled with horrible grammar. Because the FOI, it says military training of men, that it's supposed to have what is the FOI's duties. You know, it's missing a couple of words. But this says what is the meaning of FOI, you know what I mean? It's supposed to say what do they do? What does the FOI do? What is their duties? What are their duties? But since it doesn't say that, I could take poetic license in my understanding. We're about the babies. So I say, look, the fruit of Islam, we defend ourselves. That degree meant something because I started training a little bit after I got those degrees. Because other gods was training. I also was, you know, thinking about having children and stuff. And I was about to, just when I was about to, I was like, yo, I know these degrees and stuff. And I was thinking about that degree, and I was like, yo, the gods, they train and everything, you know, I should learn, you know. It ain't always, I'm not always gonna have a weapon on me. I shouldn't, and if I do, I should only learn how to use it better. Use it, you know, more properly, right? And if we protect the children though, then that means that just having a weapon isn't really gonna be helpful. Because you gotta know, well, if I have this weapon, what do I do and keep the children safe while I'm wielding this weapon? Whether it's a knife, a gun, or, you know, one of the 18 weapons of Kung Fu, you know? How would you handle a spear if your children are right behind you? Like, you got big problems if you don't know how to use that. You can't just swing it wild, right? So I'm saying, like, military training of men means their mentalities, their psyches, the knowledge and the wisdom, right? So I'm saying, like, when you look at these degrees, God, it doesn't matter how many degrees you have just yet. It's how you look at them and how you ask questions. And no, I want you, that's why I said, use mathematics to develop your principles. Because when you go into a situation, you always have a bias. That bias should be understanding that you bring in. We always have a bias, though. But the bias should be, look, I do think, when I first look at situations, I think about the children. People go on a train after kids get out of school, they go, these fucking kids. That's what they do. That's their bias, right? I hate these kids. And you think, wow, these kids, well, you know, if I have a shot, maybe I can share something with them, or I can put them on the right track or something. You know, I can make you bond with them, see them again, we slowly build up something. And these kids, instead of wilding out, maybe they could do something. You know what I mean? But our perspective now is against the society, even when it comes to children. They're not a lost cause. They're the focus. We sacrifice for them. That's not people's agenda, even if you're a kid. You know what I mean? So know too that your understanding, even if it is a right understanding, like it's a real understanding, it's based on knowledge, it may put you at odds with whoever you're dealing with. Unfortunately, you know what I mean? But again, that's the perspective of the degrees. You gotta look at these degrees. Why is this here? Who cares about these bow tie brothers getting diesel and low in all kinds of martial arts? How does that help us? You know what I mean? What would they do that for? You know what I mean? The ignorant one says, oh, to beat up Whitey and stuff. We say to, what? Protect the children.
If Mecca did this.
You must do your own research, as I did.